Now, ANC elections head Fikile Mbalula has detailed how the Guptas allegedly told him about his appointment as sports minister before it was made official. He also testified about the power the family wielded over the highest levels of the governing party. He's been testifying before the state capture inquiry today. Of course, Erin Bates was there. She joins us now in studio with more. So, Fikile Mbalula's testimony honed in on his comments at an ANC-NEC meeting in 2011, but the response was an anti-climax, so to speak. Tell us why. What did he say?
He said that there was almost a deafening silence from members of the ANC-NEC during that meeting when he raised these issues over the Guptas. And in fact, he used an old analogy which he gave a new spin when he described that moment. Let's have a look.
I think many people, they were bowing, looking down, and you could hear the drop of when I raised the issue. A drop of rain or whatever in the meeting. It became quiet. People were shrinking in their chairs, and others came after to give me a pat in the back. Hey, you are brave, man. And it ended there. One NEC member rose and said things in that meeting which I can't speak on his behalf, but ravishing what I said. And I know that I don't have to speak on behalf of that particular person. To the best of my recollection, we have never attended to the issue of Guptas politically, the way I raised it in the meeting. And I did not even have seconders in that meeting. Minister Manuel was there, and nobody said, but what Mbalula is raising, and to the point that is emotional. It's a serious matter for us. And how do we react to it? Nobody. But I understood, Shane, because when you are a cabinet minister, you owe your plate and everything to a president. So you can't stand up in a meeting against the president because you can be reshuffled at night.
So let's talk about what he did in terms of protecting his peers at the time, Erin, because it's very important to note that lots of politicians will do that. They'll try to give you some information, but not all of it. What did he say about his peers, and what did the president say in response to the work that the Zondo Commission is doing to fight corruption?
Yes, so when I pressed him afterward, I tried to firstly get the name of that NEC member. He said it rubbished his points on the Guptas during that August 2011 NEC meeting. He would not give the name and said he would only do so if approached very directly by the Commission and asked to. In fact, the chairperson had made an entreaty to him to feel free to name that person today, and he decided not to.
Yeah.
And then when I asked, was he disappointed in his peers and his comrades in the ANC when he raised this issue and he didn't get the feedback he wanted, rather, as he indicated, you know, the sound of almost a drop of water or a pin dropping and people downcast with their heads, he said he understood the political climate at the time and characterized himself as someone who was young and quite bold when he raised that issue in 2011. And then, as you say, President Cyril Ramaphosa and Mfuleni today in the Western Cape talking about the state capture inquiry, not going specifically into the details of Mbalula, but saying that the ANC had conceded in a report following its elective conference that there were things that went wrong and that they're really trying to steer the ship now in the right direction. But this is long after Mbalula raised the issue in 2011.
Yeah, so we'll talk about what the president said in Cape Town with Lindsay Dentlinger in a moment. So let's move on to what else was said at the state capture inquiry. The conflict between what Mbalula said to the public protector, of course, in October 2016, and what he said today came into sharp relief. It's all to do with a call, he says, Ajay Gupta made before it was official to congratulate him on his sports minister position. He says there was no contradiction. Why?
He says that there wasn't a conversation. So if you go through the transcripts of the public protector's interview with Mbalula in October of 2016, she repeatedly gives him opportunities to really raise this issue of the call between him and Ajay Gupta. He elects not to. And that's where the allegation that he lied, because what he said with the public protector and what he's now said at the state capture inquiry are in such stark relief. But he insists there wasn't a conversation, for example. She asked, was there a conversation with the Gupta? He said, no, there wasn't a conversation. conversation. And I said, but there was a phone call. He says, yes, it was a phone call, but Ajay Gupta simply congratulated him on a ministerial position he didn't know yet that he was going to get. And he was sort of aghast, taken aback, and was like, hey, okay. Yeah. So it wasn't a conversation, it was a call.
Yeah.
So it's kind of getting into the finer details, potato, potato, tomato, tomato. But at the end of the day, he's insistent he wasn't a Gupta minister, seemed to be quite aggrieved at the comments of EFF leader Julius Malema around this conversation with Ajay Gupta and the nature of his appointment. Mbalula's adamant. Zuma appointed him and Zuma officially announced him, although he now admits and has detailed the conversation or the phone call with Ajay Gupta.
So let's talk about this, because this was one of the things we were smirking about in the newsroom, because he spoke about his face-to-face encounters with Ajay Gupta. He says that there were 3 of those, and he also says he was offered a meal at Saxonwold.
He did, and in fact he said something which I thought was quite interesting because of its possible sort of political subtext, and that was sometimes you get served a meal that you may not necessarily want, but you eat it anyway. And he was talking specifically about a meal that he was offered at Saxonwold. This is what he had to say.
Offered me some curry then. Before we could talk, I think that is their culture. Before you talk to them, you eat curry. So this thing you say in the public that people eat curry there is not a joke, it's true. You eat curry there. And then he gave me a good lecture about how most of the things I was eating there are coming from their farm in Midrand. That everything they eat is not from the shops, it's produced from their farm. I didn't even know that they've got a farm. So that's what we discussed at his house. So Ajay Gupta.
You had a vegetarian curry on that day?
Vegetarian curry I don't like, but I had to eat it. Curry. I ate. But that curry never finished me. I stood firm.
There was a joke that he carried favor with the Guptas. Thanks so much.
That was irresistible.
Yeah, that was irresistible. And that's compliments of Simon Stevens, our program editor. Typical, obviously. Thanks to Aaron Bates. Appreciate it.